Support WrestleTalk!
Give us a subscribe. Hello and welcome to WrestleRamble. This is Luke Owen, I'm Ollie Davis, and today we're talking this week's episodes of Raw and Smackdown, including the New Day's return to WWE, Alexa Bliss's Bayley, This Is Your Life segment, and what is Kurt Angle hiding? If you want to go straight to any of those topics of conversation, click the timestamps in the video description below and you'll go right there. Or stay here right now, where I'm going to quickly apologise for that brief kerfuffle in the opening.
Yep, I mean, it was five takes.
We're going to go straight into the Raw review, because we're not going to waffle too much.
No, okay.
This is a lean episode. We're going to try a lean episode.
Yeah, let's give it a go.
We're 50 seconds in already. Let's try and do the rest of the show in 29 minutes, 5 seconds.
Okay, let's do it.
Raw! It started with Dean Ambrose. It was Miz TV, wasn't it?
Yes.
And he was interviewing Sheamus and Cesaro, and Dean Ambrose came out, and then the Hardy Boys came out. This is weird, isn't it? We're not waffling enough.
I was going to say, here's the thing. Here's a fun behind-the-curtains thing, dear
Now
viewers.
we're waffling.
Well, Ollie always has this thing that whenever I come in, like, every week, he's always got, like, this is our new thing this week, because I've had this bit of feedback, so we need to do this. And then as soon as you change up the format, you suddenly feel very uncomfortable about changing the format, because you feel like you're starting to rush things through. This happened with the podcast.
Yeah, it did. It's crazy. All I want is change, but as soon as the change happens, I'm like, no! No change!
All right, well, what did you think of the opening segment?
I thought it was copy and paste stuff. I'm just sick of talking segments where the people that talking bit is feuding with comes out. Holla holla tag team match players.
Yeah, I mean, as soon as he introduced Shamaro, I was like, okay, cool, so it's a six-man tag then.
Yeah.
We can skip this diatribe here. We can just get to the six-man tag.
The exact same thing happened on SmackDown with the highlight reel segment and Kevin Owens.
Yeah. Yeah, it is copy and paste. I was a bit... Yeah. I've got literally nothing to say about it.
There was someone shared a GIF.
Of course, you always go with... You go with GIF, not the hard G.
I'm sorry, I go with what the inventor of the GIF calls it.
That's fine. That's fine.
You're a hard G man.
I'm a hard G man. I've always, like you, I fear change, and I've always said GIF, and so it's hard for me to change my ways.
Soft G, hard G, back to me, certified G.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
It was
good, man. That was nice.
Joke.
Yeah. Well,
I thought it up. I thought it would sound better.
As soon as you start saying G, I was like, I can make an Enzo joke here, but you'd already got it for me.
First.
Yeah. Well done, you.
Well, anyway, I saw this GIF, and it was of Dean Ambrose and the Hardy Boys jumping up and down.
Right.
You know, when they're about to get into the ring, they're all doing this, and there's a 5-second period where everyone syncs up, and they're all jumping up and down like that. And someone shared it on Reddit and said, "It looks like they're on an invisible trampoline." It's very, very humorous. Anyway, I thought they had a good match, actually.
Yeah, it was a fairly decent little opener. It's things like this. Like, if they'd have just opened with the six-man tag, I'd have probably been more into it.
Yeah.
But like the 20 minutes that preceded it to set it all up, or say the 15 minutes or whatever it was, I just like, we can skip this because I know where it's going. And like, it's not like the Shamaro promo built up to anything more of the match they've got this coming Sunday. I'll be honest with you as well. Despite the fact they kept mentioning it through the show, I keep forgetting that Extreme Rules is this Sunday.
I know.
Because we've just had Backlash. And I know like that's the way it works now. You have a pay-per-view every 2 weeks. But I'm still getting used to that. And they kept saying like, Extreme Rules is this Sunday. And I was like, is it? Because it doesn't feel like you've built much.
Well, you know, if they're saying Extreme Rules is this Sunday, that means this episode of Raw was the go-home show. And as it's been the case for the last several months, it feels like nothing... It feels nothing like a go-home show.
No.
I agree. I think this match, if it just opened with the match, would have been much better. But, and we'll bring this up a few times because it was the same stuff with the main event and the Cruiserweight. And actually, every single feud on this show, it's the same people facing each other in different combinations.
Yeah.
And it's impossible to get excited about stuff that you've seen over and over again.
It's that like Raw between sort of like September and November last year, where it was just like it was
dark.
The same four lads, just
Rollins, Reigns, Owens, and Jericho.
Just interchanging between the four of them, and then the tag team division was the same thing because you just had the New Day and Gallows and Anderson for weeks on end, and then you got the New Day and Sheamus and Cesaro for weeks on end,
and Sheamus and Cesaro themselves for 7 matches in that classic series.
Yeah.
But next up we had something that was anything but copy and paste and formulaic. I really enjoyed this, and when it first happened, being so I act smart on the channel because I can write and I have the benefit of hindsight and pre-prepared scripts. But when it was happening, usually I buy into stuff when it happens. And Corey Graves, so that Michael Cole's just doing a straight link to camera, but Corey Graves is looking at his phone. He looks distracted. It was very well done.
He looks like your everyday millennial.
Yeah, or the
I
guy.
shouldn't say that because I'm a millennial. We both are.
Are we millennials?
Yes,
but we were born in the 80s.
I know, but if you were born, it's
1981.
It's a millennial. Actually, no, I think it's 1980. In fact, because my brother's a millennial and he's nearly 40.
I thought a millennial was anyone who was born.
I think that's what
after the naughty.
It's what everyone thinks because that's when the media paint the millennials. That's who they're talking about, but they're not. That's Generation Z.
Generation Z?
Yeah, I think anyone who was born after the 2000s was Generation Z. We are millennials.
Generation Z sounds cool. That's like a zombie film.
I know.
And I want to be in Generation Z.
And you'd thought we would be as well because like the previous, or is it Generation Y?
Generation Y.
I think that makes sense because then
the Fight Club generation.
Was that the Fight Club generation?
Yeah, all the characters that age.
Yeah, okay. Because I think
was that Generation X?
Generation X, because there was that that X-Men movie spin-off that they did, which is called Generation X with Jubilee, and that was it's a play on words because they were Gen Xers and they were also X-Men.
This is slightly off topic, but interesting.
Interesting. No, fun fact for you kids. If you were born after the year 2000, you're not a millennial, despite what Twitter will tell you.
Well, when you were talking about the millennials bit, I thought, Corey Graves was just doing the guy in the Cruiserweight match from 205 Live last week when Akira Tozawa did that amazing senton bomb.
Yeah, Tony Nese is going to send him a tweet being like, what a knob.
So anyway, Corey Graves gets this message. He stands up. Booker T's like, shibby-dibby, do you want to do it?
Shucky ducky, quack, quack. Oh, man, you're looking jacked. Looking jacked, man.
He's brought out a T-shirt with that.
Is he really?
Yeah, you're looking jacked, baby.
I love Booker.
And Corey Graves just walks off, and Michael Cole carries on with the link. It's weird. Goes to commercial break, comes back. Corey Graves is with Kurt Angle. Kurt Angle's looking at the phone, really concerned, looking more and more like a giant thumb with a face every day. And Corey Graves is like, yeah, people send me things because people like to talk to me. They sent me this. I thought I'd bring it your way. And Kurt's like, this could ruin me. Mm-hmm. So what do you think it is?
I think this will eventually lead to the return of Stephanie. I think that Stephanie is going to be the one who brings out news, and that's what she'll try and do. Because again, like it ties into my theory I had a few weeks ago, the Great Balls of Fire will be blamed on Kurt. The thing on a pole match, kendo stick on a pole match will be blamed on Kurt. The Extreme 5-Way will be blamed on Kurt. And then this will be... So she'll say, like, you made all these idiotic decisions, and I wonder if it is something like it's his plan for the rest of the year, and it's nothing but ridiculous gimmick matches and silly named pay-per-views.
I mean, I can see them doing that, but really I hate it when WWE do this, where a new regime comes in and says, you've been ruining the product. With these things, you should be like, they should come back and say you're making things too dangerous, and then that makes it seem edgy at least and cool what's been going on. But no, they go, no, you've been turning people off watching the TV.
Yeah, but I feel like that's where they're going to go as well, because but the idea is, and this will not come across on TV, but the idea would be Stephanie is the heel, and we're not supposed to agree with her. Because all the commentators have been going like, man, how great has Kurt Angle been as GM? He's been so good, and all the wrestlers are going like, you're doing such a great job as GM. I'm really happy that you're here. Yeah. So that when Stephanie comes back and she'll be like, no, you're doing a bad job, everyone will boo and say like, no, he's doing a great job. But really, it just makes Stephanie look like she's the genius because television ratings are tanking.
Yeah, it's like when they get behind TJP as a babyface, and everyone's like, no, he's a heel.
Quite clearly a heel, lad.
Yeah, you're totally right. They were, and they've been building that up as well. The last few weeks, the announcers have been really putting over how much of a genius Kurt Angle is.
Exactly.
By booking these matches that are just the same combination. And, it's just...
Yeah, so I foresee it being something related to that.
I had that down as one of mine. Stephanie McMahon coming back, the way to bring the authority back in. But I've also got a few other suggestions that this could be. I've got... so, of course, Kurt Angle looks at the text message, "This could ruin me." Mm-hmm. That's the only clue we've got. So, he's not really an Olympic gold medalist.
I can't see them ever doing that one.
Yeah, he didn't win it. He's a fraud. He's actually a human thumb related to the hand
He's not
of
the real Kurt Angle.
Yeah.
If they did that, where like they did an angle, so to speak, where the real Kurt Angle came back to take over from this guy, maybe just bring back Eric Angle for like a thing, just so you can have the two of them in the ring again.
You've already touched on this one. This could ruin me. The next pay-per-view is called Great Balls of Fire. Mm-hmm. Not as good now. You've already brought it up. And my final funny one, I've got a serious one coming, don't worry, is this could ruin me. I forgot about Brock Lesnar's 30-day title defense clause.
Hi-yo.
Hey. So this someone called IJR on Twitter tweeted me something that @rantwithant had suggested, and this is going to tie into a later mystery. So we'll put those two segments together, and that's who attacked Enzo Amore. And this guy was like, "What if Kurt has brought back American Alpha, or brought in American Alpha, and American Alpha have beaten up Enzo?"
Okay, so he's brought in American Alpha without, like, he's done an underhand or under table contract negotiation with them to bring them, because they haven't been on TV for what seems like a year. So okay, yeah, I can buy into this.
I think when they proposed that, I was like, it's cool, but I can't see it working from a character thing. But if American Alpha have gone psychotic and Kurt Angle's like, "Oh God, they're the people who beat up Enzo," and they say here in this thing that they're doing it to impress me. I can't have this. This could ruin me. I think that would be a nice dynamic.
But later on, when Big Cass was accosting Corey Graves, he did say, "I don't know who attacked Enzo."
He's just saying that because there's a big, scary New Yorker. He's 7 foot tall.
And you can't teach that. You can't teach it.
So yeah,
people have tried.
What did you think about that bit where Big Cass came up to Corey?
It was cool because it's giving Corey Graves. Essentially, do you remember Joe Just Joe?
It rings a bell.
Okay. So this. Here you are, kids. There's a little history lesson for you from Uncle Luke here. This was an angle in about 2000's WWF Heat era. It was a Heat only thing.
It was on Heat.
I was only.
I would have watched it then. I would have.
And it was this guy
all over Channel 4.
And it was this guy, and he was called Joe, Just Joe, and he. His gimmick was that he kind of like pitched this as going to be his character. He was an independent wrestler. And he pitched it as this character that he was essentially a gossip, and he was like stirring the pot with other wrestlers. So he would come in and be like, "Oh, your boy Test is saying these really mean things about you, so I think you now have to go and have a match with Taka Michinoku because it's Heat." And he'd be like, "Oh, who the hell are you?" And he'd go, "I'm Joe, just Joe." So essentially,
this is playing back in my head.
Yeah, so essentially he would be stirring the pot and then be like, "Well, mate, no, don't shoot the messenger. I'm Joe, just Joe." And it didn't really lead to anywhere. I believe, if my memory is correct, the other angle that he'd pitched to bring him in was he was going to be the leader of a cult, essentially, of right-wing censors, and come in and be like, "Oh, what you are doing is wrong. There's too much nudity. There's too much violence." And WWE said, "No, we're good with that," and then just did the right to censor with Stevie Richards instead.
So you're suggesting that Corey Graves' character now is
Joe Just Joe,
similar to Joe Just Joe.
That's what I think. It's just that people are now. So that's what it evoked for me anyway. It was just memories of Joe Just Joe. I'm not saying that they looked back on the network. I was watching Heat, and we were like, "God, this was a great angle that never went anywhere. We should definitely do this."
It'll be really damaging if they do that, because Corey Graves is the only guy on that commentary team with anything resembling. Being trustworthy, authority, authenticity. That's the word I'm looking for.
I thought you were going to say he's the only man on that commentary desk that is any good.
Yeah, there's that as well.
And I was going to say, yeah, you're right.
Shooky dookie whack whack.
It's not even that.
There was also Revival came back. They made their WWE return, and you said they showed the clip that I talked about last week.
They did indeed, because everyone's been talking about that clip being like, because you said last week that WWE are too stupid to be that subtle.
I know.
And it did feel as like they weren't meant to walk back there, and then because everyone's been atting them on Twitter with these messages like, lads, we're going to bring you in for a day. Like, I know you can't open your mouth and say words, but we need you on camera.
I mean,
so we can say, yeah, it wasn't us.
I hope they did plan it. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. So let's quickly move on here. So we're going to both say that it's a Stephanie McMahon
I think
deal.
it's a Stephanie McMahon thing.
Although the American Alpha thing could be cool.
Yeah.
Elias
That's
Sampson,
much more creative.
Yeah, because it is just going to be the Authority 4.0.
Oh, God, I can't. I don't even want to think about having to hear Stephanie McMahon come out. Because the worst thing about Stephanie is not her promos, because her promos are usually fine. It's the content of her promos. And it's just, she just belittles like people on the roster throughout the year. So all you have is just these wrestlers to come out and to be like, oh, I'm sorry, Steph, we're clearly not good enough for you. And she never gets her comeuppance.
Never gets the receipt.
I hate that she never gets her comeuppance. Oh, she took a bump through a table at WrestleMania. Yeah, Triple H put her through the table. So the only person she put over was Triple H. Great going there, guys. What a comeuppance. She took the safest bump you possibly could.
She also got down and dirty with Vicky Guerrero.
Yeah, it was fine. It was nearly 4 years ago.
I'm not explaining it, but it's just like, of all the people to give the comeuppance to, you really want to give that Stephanie heat transference to an up-and-coming female star.
Hashtag heat transference.
They gave it to Vicky Guerrero on her way out.
Yes, because she's off. Yeah, great.
So next up, we had Elias Sampson beating Zach Evans. I thought this was a solid squash match.
Good little squash match.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of squash matches, and, I don't... Elias didn't get the heat that he got last week.
No, he didn't.
Like, when he started playing the song, I was like, oh, this is where the crowd are going to start turning on him, but... No, they didn't really.
They were mostly indifferent, which is worrying.
Yeah, apathy's never good. Apathy is what would kill Roman Reigns, but he'll never get that.
Because I actually really do like the Drifter's character. I think he's got a great look.
He has awesome music as well.
Yeah,
his entrance music is great.
He's pretty boring in the ring, but the character does it. Sometimes the overall package, that doesn't matter that much.
He's a generic big man.
Yeah.
He's a big lad.
And he really looks like Randy Savage.
Yeah, I would have expected to have seen him shaking it up with Mark Jindrak in like that 2005-2006 era of SmackDown.
Samoa Joe beat Finn Balor and Bray Wyatt in a 3-way, which is another example of just the same few guys fighting each other and over again. I thought this was a very good match.
I really enjoyed this match. My only criticism I have against it, because I thought it was excellent, I thought Finn in particular was superb throughout. Finn has been really, really great since he came back. He's yet to have like a bad outing, really.
You mean in the last 3 weeks?
Yes.
Since he came back? You mean since he came back from the
injury.
Jinder Mahal concussion?
No, well, yeah, since he came back from injury, yeah.
No, because he had his April month was nothing.
Well, yeah, he hasn't had a bad match then.
No, he had the Jinder Mahal match. I think there was
it's a
another
squash match. That's hard to count.
But he had a month of not doing anything. It's only in this Extreme Rules build where he's in the top mix again, and the brilliant Paul Heyman promo that put him over like a top star.
I still don't think he's had a bad moment yet, apart from being knocked out by Jinder Mahal.
I disagree. I think he was really struggling in that first month. He wasn't connecting. It just was like, oh, Finn Balor's back, wicked.
Yeah, I mean,
but now I'm actually excited.
I mean,
to see his stuff.
I'm a big Finn mark. I think that he's been pretty good since he's come back from injury. But my criticism I have against this match is it's the booking of Samoa Joe. So Samoa Joe, they have this kind of thing where he's still Triple H's boy. He's still a Triple H hits man, but that's never really mentioned and or played up to.
Yeah, and the Ultra unit was split up when Kevin Owens went to SmackDown.
Yeah. Plans change. But the other thing that they always put up is like, oh, he's so tactical. He's like this cold, ruthless man, and he just wants to go out there and beat him. And then in this match, he was just quite happy to team up with Bray Wyatt, who gave him the Sister Abigail last week, and I'm pretty much sure beat him up the week before as well. And he's now going like, yeah, let's beat up this guy together, shall we? And then, what do you know? Bray Wyatt turns on him. And I'm like, Joe looks like a complete idiot.
Yeah,
for trusting this guy over and over and over again, only for him to keep beating you up.
You're saying you think Joe should have turned on Bray?
I think Joe should have gone in there and just been like, not wanting to work with anyone, just be his own guy.
Yeah.
Or maybe destroy people.
Maybe he's still got a chip on his shoulder from last week and just goes straight for Bray Wyatt.
Yeah, totally.
The commentators play that up on commentary before it happens.
Yeah, absolutely great. That's a better way to book Joe. You talk about Finn's not had a great, he didn't have a great April. Joe hasn't had a great showing since he came up to the main roster.
He had 2 good weeks, the debut and the promo the week after.
Yeah, and I feel really bad because I love Joe. I think he is awesome, and he's not getting a fair shake of the stick at the moment.
We had Rich Swann beat Noam Dar. Under 3 minutes.
Yeah, of course it was.
And all about Alicia Fox and Sasha Banks.
That's because they're the stars of this program. I mean, I liked that it bled over into 205 Live a little bit, that Sasha Banks was going to be on 205 Live, but it does seem that Sasha Banks' stock is really dropping, in that she was once like headlining pay-per-views, and now she's on the Jobber show on 205 Live that no one watches.
I don't think it's... I'm going to give WWE the benefit of the doubt here. I don't think it's because they've suddenly gone cold on Banks. I think the women's division was meant to look very different, but Emma got hurt. And all of a sudden, Nia Jax has disappeared, and Sasha Banks has, found herself nowhere. I maybe they were going for a Banks-Emma feud, while you had Bliss and Bayley fight at the top.
But that would suggest that Raw often books more than one women's feud, and
yes,
if Nia Jax has got anything to say about that, then they don't. And yeah, I mean it's fine. Actually, I'll be honest. When they announced the mixed tag match, I did go, I bet that's gonna be quite good. I'm quite looking forward to that. Actually,
I love Noam Dar.
Love Noam Dar. He's awesome. Also, great entrance music. That is entrance music that gets stuck in my head for like a good solid hour. I get stuck in my head. It's gonna be stuck in my head now for the rest of this record.
Very quickly, because I want to move on to the segment that's coming up. Titus O'Neil beat Kalisto.
Yep. Poor old Kalisto. Good for Titus. Is Apollo Crews a heel?
I don't know who is what in this feud.
No.
This 3-person, let's put a 2-hour filler match. Not 2 hours. God, good God. I mean, in the second hour of Raw.
Yeah.
But here we go. What is being called by many the worst, I certainly think so, the worst segment of WWE so far this year. Some people are getting carried away, calling it the worst segment ever.
I won't go as far as it's the worst segment ever.
I think history, you forget about a lot of stuff that happens.
Yeah, Trish Stratus being forced to walk around like a dog is definitely the worst in WWE history.
And just segments that have really harmed and buried people and they've never come back from. Although...
The old day.
Yeah, this is... Well, the old day, that was... and Titus's promo sprung to my mind first. Like, I thought, God, what was the last really bad segment in WWE? It was the Titus O'Neil promo last summer. And then everyone was like, this is worse than the old day. And I was like, yeah, that old day was worse.
I believe, actually, you did say that was the worst segment when you did your review of it as well.
Yeah, of 2016.
Yeah.
So this was Alexa Bliss's Bayley, This Is Your Life segment.
Yeah. As soon as they brought up that graphic, like announcing that it was coming up, I watched it on a delay. I watch it in the morning after it's aired, so I don't check Twitter. I don't see if anyone's messaged me about it. But yeah, as soon as that came up, I was like, "Oh, this is going to be a train wreck." I can already see this coming.
Well, I didn't. Again, I was like, Alexa Bliss is really good on the mic. She's got a bully kind of character. Bully in the bad way, not bully for you, like Ron Swanson says.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I had hope because Alexa Bliss really can turn average material into very good material, and she tried her best here. Very few would have been able to get this over. Ric
Flair on his best days would have struggled with
this.
Ric
Flair talking into a book. Have you ever seen that clip?
Yeah.
Woo!
I mean, okay, I know. I tell a lie, actually. Ric Flair probably could have done, because there was... I always sound like I'm the nostalgia man whenever I do these sorts of things. People often bring in some of the comments, like, Luke just always says, like, this is like that time when, or do you remember that time when?
You're the did you know fact come to life.
Do you remember Eugene doing musical chairs when he was GM?
I do block a lot of stuff out my mind that I deem no longer worthy.
Well, I would counter that as being is one of the best segments in WWE Raw history, when Eugene was GM and he ordered everyone to do musical chairs, because Ric Flair in that segment is the funniest thing ever. As someone who's just like, I'm a 16-time world champion and I'm being so embarrassed to do this. But then as it goes on, getting more competitive that he has to win. And getting far more into it than he really should. It's hysterical. It's so funny. And the crowd did not turn on that at all, and they proper got into it.
Okay. I sympathise with Rick there, because I found myself at a big game of musical chairs.
Oh, really?
About a month or two ago. It was my lady partner's friend's daughter's birthday, and for some reason I had to go.
Well, of course.
Because my lady partner didn't want to go alone. And she also needed a lift down there, which I have a car, so that always helps.
That always helps, yeah.
And yeah, you do get into it. And there was a point where it was me and a young person under 10 years old going for the same chair. I had it covered. And I did think to myself, I could be nice and give this up to them. But I think if I took it, no one would begrudge me because they are quite far away from the chair. I took the chair. Took the chair and I went 3 more rounds. Got down to the final 4. So the actual segment, Bayley, This Is Your Life, it started off with Alexa Bliss and a table of props.
That never really got brought up.
No, well, she said that here's the yearbook, here's the doll.
Yep.
And you're like, oh, God, they're doing this. And then they was like, here's Mrs. Flapper, who was the old school teacher. And this is where it started to get really bad. It's like, oh, and tell me about Bayley. And she's like, oh, she was really good, always top of the class. The weird thing was she always brought her dad along.
That's... Why can the main roster writers not get the Bayley character? Like
that is nobody's character.
That's nobody's character. Like, who in their right mind of the 27 of them in the writers' room thought, like, do you know what we need to portray Bayley as? We need to portray her as a nerd that someone can, like, that everyone else, all the nerds that watch this show can relate to. And I'm pretty sure nerds have their parents go to class with them, right? That's what nerds do. No. As soon as she said that, I couldn't believe how much I groaned when she said that line. It was like, because that's the laziest of, like, awful writing. That was so bad.
That feels like a Vince thing.
Yeah,
that
totally,
feels like
totally.
Vince. You know what'll be funny? But she's sitting with her dad in the class.
Hey pal, you ever take your dad to school with you? No, I didn't. 'Cause I'm a man.
Well, it's because he hated his... Oh, no, his stepdad he hated.
Yeah.
Let's
anyway,
not get into that.
Awful. And then it only got worse from there because the crowd, as soon as the crowd started to turn on it, boring chants. I didn't have my headphones in. I'm sure there were much worse things.
So there were 2 parts after that, which were really... It was all bad. It only went 10 minutes. It felt like forever. Yeah. And I watched it on double speed. So they had... the Mrs. Flapper comment, and then Alexa Bliss went over to Bayley's best friend from high school, whatever the American school structure, however that is, and says, when did you fall out with Bayley? And the best friend says, when she started to do the most boring, worst thing ever, she wanted to go home and watch Raw and SmackDown.
This is it. It's just basically saying, like, by the way, you guys in the audience who have all paid money to come and watch us, and you're sat at home watching this show, you're all losers. You're all nerds, like Bayley is.
Yeah. I mean, so I guess their thinking was, everybody loves Raw and SmackDown. These are the bullies at school. You want to boo the bullies who said that wrestling was rubbish at school. But it didn't come off like that.
No.
It just came off as really quite nasty.
Especially then because...
And patronising.
Then Alexa Bliss is there like, yeah, what a loser, right? It's like, you're a wrestler too. She's saying you're a nerd. This doesn't work at all.
Choke her out.
Exactly. Beat her up. Yeah, show how awesome wrestlers are. This was so dumb.
And then the final bit where it was just like, this isn't even a joke. It's so not funny. It's like flat funny. It's not funny so bad it's funny. It's here, but indifferent. I don't know how to describe it. I'm hoping that a better description would come when I'm using my arms like this. But Alexa Bliss then turns round to quite an attractive man, but who was not a good actor, and says, oh, you were Bayley's ex-boyfriend. How was it when you were going out with her? And he tells this lame story about how he closed her eyes. He was going to go in to kiss her. He opens his eyes, and it's her dad. Oh my God, I nearly kissed her dad.
Oh yeah, I was going to say, it's like, I nearly kissed a man. And Alexa Bliss, he was like, oh God, how disgusting. You nearly kissed a man.
Yeah.
So I was dumbfounded of being like, man alive, here we are in 2017 making that kind of joke.
I will defend that. That is, I mean, from the guy's perspective, that would have been almost like a face... I don't want to say the R word, but he thought he was going in to kiss someone different, and then this old man, this like 40, 50-year-old man, took the place of what had been a 15, 16-year-old girl.
Okay.
That's horrific.
The other side of this is that
I don't think it was homophobic.
No, I don't think it was homophobic. I was making a joke.
Oh, okay.
But
I'm sorry. I snowflaked your snowflake.
you did.
We're melting together.
I was going to say, just melting away in the snow, just like Fight Club holders.
Yeah.
It's 2 Fight Club references in one show. The point I was going to make was just that, again, like when he said, and what was the date like? I was like, yeah, it would have been really nice, but her dad was there. And I was like, yeah, you've already done this joke. Come on, let's think of something different.
I knew as soon as Mrs. Flapper said it, I thought this is going to be brought up again.
This would have worked as well. Okay, I want to make a callback to my booking for the previous pay-per-view, whatever it was.
Yes, do so.
And I said that there was going to be an angle where Bayley's dad was in the front row because they were in her hometown, and Alexa Bliss was going to go out there and start accosting him, and then she was going to get back into the ring, and then Bayley hit the Bayley's belly, 1, 2, 3, she'd get the win. Alexa Bliss could have had the match, but her ego and her want of embarrassing Bayley got the better of her, and she ended up losing.
Yeah. So that's a good booking.
But because they didn't do that, and because if they had done that and then did this, if they had then done that and then
I'm gonna get you.
Then did this,
nice.
You could have at least had Bayley's dad as a reference point of Alexa Bliss coming in here and being like, yeah, I just want you to know that Bayley's dad is also a dork, and I was right for accosting him, because the heel is always at their best when they think they're right.
Yes. Yeah, it was completely baffling. A lot of people have brought up the worst thing being the 2 friends kissing at the end.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't do anything for anybody. But really, it
was
was far gone by that point.
It was the most compelling thing of the story. I am very interested to know where they go from here, because these are 2 star-crossed lovers. These are 2 people who could have been high school sweethearts, but things never. This is a Netflix series waiting to happen. A WWE Network special, following them, reality TV show. Now that they finally found each other over their mutual hatred of Bayley. Or their mutual misunderstanding of Bayley, I suppose.
If they start coming out with Alexa Bliss and they all do pre-taped skits together, that will maybe something will come of this.
Because it'd be great as well if Bayley does these pre-taped things, like taking them around the fairs and stuff on their dates and being like, oh god, and he's like, you're such a better girlfriend than Bayley ever would have been, and it's and you're such a better best friend than Bayley ever could have been for me.
Oh, that's really funny.
Great.
That is good.
Okay, but the other side of this is further booking of how they can't get the Bayley character right. So Bayley comes out mad as a box of frogs. She is very upset about this. It'd have been fine if she'd have pointed and said that's not my real teacher. That was never my friend.
Yes.
You've made this whole thing up. That would have been one thing. That's probably one way to get around this. At least then Alexa Bliss just looks like she's so petty about Bayley that she's made all this sort of stuff up. The other side of it is that she doesn't come out and get beaten up. Because that's exactly what happened. She came out to accost Alexa Bliss because Alexa Bliss has been saying nasty things about her, proper rotten things about her. So she comes out to defend her on it, and what happens? She gets her ass kicked and she's sent packing. And Alexa Bliss stands tall, proof and right that she's brilliant and Bayley is a dork.
Yeah.
What a awful... What a bad segment.
Let's move on. Let's not spend any more.
What a bad segment.
I had a bit of fantasy booking as well, but you can go and watch my Raw review for that. Austin Aries and Jack Gallagher beat Neville and TJP. I thought a lot of people got quite angry over this because Neville tapped out.
Well, that builds up the submission
ending
match.
His losing streak. But yeah, I thought it was fine. I thought it was a good story. It was a nice little match as well.
You need to build up the submission stipulation, so that completely works fine for me. Maybe it would have been better if he'd tapped out TJP, but you also need to be able to show that he needs to tap out Neville as well.
That would have been, with eyes looking at Neville. Yeah. Neville doesn't get back in because Gallagher's waiting for him with his amazing headbutt.
I would argue that would have been better, but the submission win doesn't bother me so much.
I didn't see that. Yeah, that is a better way of doing it. Goldust and R-Truth had 2 awesome promos.
Yeah, we were lambasted last week by a few people in the comment section because we didn't bring up Goldust's promo because we didn't talk about it because you didn't put it in the notes and I forgot it happened.
Throw me under the bus.
But yeah, as soon as that music comes back with and I was like, oh, it's Goldust.
It feels like you're watching it. it's like when WWE used to be good again.
Well, not really, because that was like 1996 when WWE was bloody awful.
97, but he sort of follows into 97.
But by the time he gets to like 98, he became the artist formerly known as Goldust,
Right.
and he started doing like the Christian preacher gimmick stuff. But this is like classic 96 Goldust when he was obsessed with. He was meant to be an Oscar. He's dressed gold because he loves Oscars and that. And yeah, he cuts like a great little promo about Psycho. I thought he got the quote wrong at first. It was like everyone goes a little mad sometimes. And I think it's because in Scream, she says like, oh, he's gone crazy. And Billy Loomis turns around, spoilers for Scream, says, we all go a little crazy sometimes. And I think that's the quote that's incorrect.
Right.
But in my head, I was like, well, that's the correct quote. And Norman Bates.
Ever the pedant.
So I did Google it to make sure.
You should have tweeted him.
Well, I wasn't going to. Billy Loomis, 20 years old.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter when you tweet people. You just act on an impulse. You get angry and then you just tweet them.
I'm going to send Kevin Williamson, he wrote Scream for those who don't know. I'm going to send him a message being like, I'm sure he's never had that message either. Say like, did you know you got the quote wrong? In all fairness, I might be misremembering the quote from Scream as well.
Well, then R-Truth cut another awesome a promo in response, which was quoting Pulp Fiction.
Yep.
Actually made him look pretty badass.
And
intimidating.
Is this match at Extreme Rules?
It isn't, but we're going to do, it'll probably be added as a pre-show, or we've got we want to bring people down before the main event.
Actually, do you know what? I bet you it will be, because this always happens to us. It will be announced while we're recording this, so that when we post it tomorrow, everyone will say like, you idiots, it's already been announced. Like the Jinder Mahal t-shirt.
Yeah. And the Jinder Mahal t-shirt, the
Roderick Strong, Eric Young
Strong match. So our predictions will be up on Saturday, and we're just gonna predict what that match anyway.
What's been announced?
Just gonna say that one anyway.
Fair enough.
And then in the main event, Roman Reigns beats Seth Rollins in a cracking match.
Yeah, good little match.
Really good match.
I wasn't overly looking forward to it because I've seen these guys have some matches before and it's not really my sort of scene.
Yeah.
But I was very impressed. I thought they were all right. And Roman won, right?
Yes.
Yeah, of course he did.
Yeah, I thought it started off slow, but then I actually quite got into it by the end. Before we do the SmackDown review, just very quickly, we passed one of our Patreon goals last Friday, which is $1,000, the $1,000 mark a month. So now we can put this WrestleRamble show via audio means on a podcast.
So you can have us in your ears.
Yeah, got to figure out how the podcasts work. I've got to set up a thing, and I'm talking to some people about how to best do the thing. So it'll come soon, maybe this week, maybe next week, but hopefully by the end of next week.
It will
So it's
happen.
coming soon. And if you still want to go over to Patreon, because we've got our next goal, which is $1,500 a month, to get this guy full-time, which means we can add an extra WrestleRamble, because most people said they would prefer 3 WrestleRambles.
And excellent. That would be my vote as well.
That was, I think, 70% of people voted for that. And then the next closest were 2 or 5. So, and they were way down at 10%. So we'll do 3 a week. We currently do 2. So yeah, go over there and please do support WrestleTalk on Patreon, and you'll get our Saturday WrestleRamble episode a whole day early if you subscribe $5 or more a month, which of course this weekend will be Extreme Rules, our Extreme Rules predictions.
That will certainly make you one of the cool kids.
SmackDown opened with Shinsuke Nakamura on Kevin Owens' highlight reel segment. I like that Kevin Owens is stealing Chris Jericho's segment because that builds for when Jericho finally comes back. Maybe he's got a surprise guest, and who's it going to be? Finding Jericho, that'd be awesome. Unfortunately, his guest was Shinsuke Nakamura, who shouldn't be talking.
Yeah, I mean, okay. I think we need to just come to terms with now that WWE are going to make him talk. We know that's not the right thing to do, but yeah, it looks like they're just going to make him a talker.
Yeah.
It's not. I mean, I don't think he got off to the best of starts by having his mouth guard in on that first week, but he has learned from that. And do you know what's funny as well with Shinsuke talking? Shinsuke's grasp of English is actually excellent, and his pronunciation of English is excellent. He was on Jericho's podcast when, I think it was just after he first joined WWE in NXT, and he was absolutely fine. He sounds nothing like he does on TV, because on TV he accentuates his lack of understanding of English, which is what he was doing in NXT as well. But in NXT, it kind of works because he'd only say 3 words. He'd only say like a handful of things.
Yeah.
And then That's it. So like, it'd be like, I need to beat you, Shinsuke, and they'd just go like, you can't beat me, and then that'd be it. And then off we go, and then people would go like, oh, Shinsuke. Yeah. Apart from here, they're just like, okay, here is a huge paragraph for you to memorize. Off you go and do it, but make sure you're doing it in that little wacky way you talk.
Yeah. Well, this quickly became a tag team match when Baron Corbin came down to interrupt. It's exactly what we talked about with the Raw opening, and Sami Zayn came out of nowhere. Holla holla, tag team match players. They had a pretty good match, though. I really enjoyed this match.
I enjoyed that, yeah.
Nakamura, I think it was one of Nakamura's better showings.
Yeah, I really enjoyed last week, but I enjoyed this one as well, yeah.
Now, Nakamura now has 3 wins out of 3 on the main roster. So they do know that wins and losses do mean something.
Yeah, sort of.
And 2 of those wins are pinfalls in tag matches on Kevin Owens.
The commentators did mention that as well. That's now twice that he's pinned Kevin Owens. So it really does feel that SmackDown is kind of cementing itself that Randy Orton and Jinder, those are your top guys. And everyone else is your US title division. So that's your Kevin Owens, your Sami Zayns, your Nakamura's, your AJ Styles. Those are your mid-carders.
Which is bizarre. Hopefully, I don't necessarily agree with that.
Nope.
But
neither do I.
I only noticed this when I was preparing the notes, and that is all the top wrestlers on Raw, bar Brock, are involved in this same match that they're building to for the pay-per-view. It's the same with SmackDown.
Yeah.
So it's and they're doing the same. Both shows are just putting these people in various combinations of matches. So we've seen it all before.
It's almost like creativity's at an all-time low.
Yeah, slow. They're in a slow booking phase, as Dave Meltzer reported last week.
Always happens post WrestleMania.
The New Day finally debuted on SmackDown Live. The Usos were doing a tag team, we've beaten everyone in the tag division.
Such a great promo.
Shtick. It was a great promo, and then the New Day came out and cut a good promo that did not annoy me.
Oh man, do you know what? When the New Day came out, because we talked about before, we found the New Day was getting very stale. I've talked about this many times before we even started doing the show that they were coming quite stale. I was actually quite happy to see them, and then when they started cutting that great promo, I was like, oh, yeah, this is the New Day I liked in the first place. They're not talking about ice creams. They're not talking about stupid stuff.
They're not shilling WrestleMania.
They're not just saying random buzzwords. They're just saying, like, we're the New Day. We're the longest reigning tag champs, and now we're coming for those belts as well. Oh, it was great. And the Usos had a great retort back. Super looking forward to that match.
Yeah, very much so. The promos between them are going to be very good. And they can both go, both teams. Regarding the New Day, because the whole Old Day segment has been brought up a bit recently, I watched the New Day's promo from the week after the Old Day skit on Raw.
Oh, yeah?
Do you remember what happened?
No, I do not.
So neither did I. It just popped up
Oh,
in my
man, you
feed.
get to be nostalgia, man.
Yeah, and from a year ago. Mine's not as backtracking as yours. And Big E introduces the clip and says, so we're going to show you what happened last week on Raw. And they all look towards a screen and nothing plays. And goes, just kidding, we burnt that. You're never seeing that again.
Speaking of which, you know that WWE took down the Alexa Bliss This Is Your Life angle from YouTube. That was the lead story
in today's news.
Oh, was it really? They got rid of the
yeah,
video?
well, they never put it up. They only put up the kendo stick attack part. But on their Twitter, they did remove all the clips they posted of it. So at least they know it was terrible.
Absolutely.
So the only problem about this is the land of opportunity where championship opportunities are earned. The New Day are handed a title match as soon as they come in.
Well, so was Charlotte.
So was Charlotte. So was John Cena.
Yeah.
Was Charlotte, or did she have to win a match? I think she had to beat Naomi.
That's right, yeah, because Shane did come out and say, like, no, this is the land of opportunity. You've got to earn your title shots around here. Yeah, okay. I stand corrected on that one.
So that was a bit of a... Didn't quite like that. They didn't gel as well as everything else. However, oh my God, Breezango are on fire. They're my favourite thing in WWE right now.
So there was a moment last week when they did the Fashion Files.
Yeah.
And it was like the third time they'd done this skit. And I had this sudden horrible pit in my stomach feeling of just like, the WWE know they're onto a good thing here.
Yeah.
So they're going to drive this, just grind it and just drive this into the ground. So when they updated, they changed from Law and Order to like this Humphrey Bogart thing instead. I was like, that's genius.
Yeah.
Just freshen it up with different cop tropes. Oh, I loved it. It was like, and he's got such a great, like, I didn't call him Johnny Curtis then. Johnny Curtis has got a great voice for like that gruff tech noir. Well, not tech noir, that was the club in Terminator.
Film noir.
Film noir cop. I've had too many drinks and too many cases. Like that sort of thing.
Yes, definitely. There's and just the dialogue is very good. It's almost they've actually sat down and done some wordplay. I would love to know how much Breeze and Fandango have into this, because of course there was the no jaywalking or Jimmy walking. And this week, of course, when Fandango comes in, he's surprised by Tyler Breeze with the great moment when there's a silhouette of a gorgeous woman. I thought, are they bringing in Summer Rae as like their secretary? Can you say secretary these days? I think that's okay. And
all right,
he goes,
snowflake.
"Freeze, dirtbag." Fandango says that. And Tyler Breeze takes off his disguise and goes, "No, Breeze, dirtbag." It was
So
brilliant.
Excellent.
So that they continue to be awesome. They're on a new case because their office was destroyed. So that's another element of mystery. That's the other thing we didn't mention about Raw, actually. I really like the two mystery storylines they've got going on. Definitely the best, because it's the only different thing about the show from the last several weeks or months. They beat the Colognes later on. Then we had the women's match, which was Charlotte, Carmella, Natalya,
Tamina.
Carmella.
You said Carmella.
And Carmella again. Becky Lynch and Tamina. And the match never got started.
No, they had quite a nice little brawl on the outside.
Wicked
little brawl. I really enjoyed this. I thought when Tamina started ripping up the table, I was like, oh, this is almost how like Nia Jax probably should have been booked. I was like, she looks like a total badass here.
I thought that. I was like, Tamina looks cool and intimidating. And then in my notes when I was writing it, I wrote down Nia Jax.
Oh, you daft racist.
I know.
There was a moment though where, like, God bless Tamina. She is. She's a tremendous athlete. She's a fairly solid hand. She looks like a complete badass. She's. If you look back at some of her older matches, bearing in mind, like when she first came up, she was in that Dearth Divas period where they would only get like 1.5 minute matches on pay-per-view. So she wasn't really given a chance to shine. But from all accounts, she's a solid hand in the ring. She knows what she's doing.
Okay, I'll take your word for
and
it.
she looks like a total badass. But you could tell that she's wearing a lot of leather. Because there was a moment when, like, after all this was announced, it panned to her sweating buckets, just absolutely, and they cut away very quickly from her because she was gassed from not doing a lot. And I just think it's because she's in all this leather that's weighing her down.
Big house lights. I bet Kevin Dunn was like, no, women can't sweat. Women can't make those things. Get it off the screen.
Is that your Kevin Dunn?
That's my Kevin Dunn.
It's very accurate.
I've only got 3 impressions, and the person who falls quite easily into whatever, that's what they're going to be portrayed as. Cool. So I think it's New Yorker or overly homosexual man that I just did there.
Yeah. That's in your normal voice, isn't it?
Very
yes! Good. Zing!
So it was a great brawl, and Shane McMahon came down. Someone pointed out he probably didn't have to walk all the way to the ring. He could have just done it from the ramp. To announce we're going to get our first ever Women's Money in the Bank ladder match.
Excellent news.
Next month.
I'm so looking forward to
June 18th, this month.
So, this led to my sudden thought, which was like, that means Naomi's not booked on the show as a Women's Championship match. But then I thought, Lana.
Lena. Again, how would... I hope they don't, because then it will be a case of just giving her a title shot as soon as she comes in. Unless they portray no good way around this.
No, unless they portray that as this being the land of opportunity, because hey, you've only ever been a manager, apart from that one WrestleMania match that no one remembers, including me.
You don't remember. I remembered it.
And so Shane and just Shane, be like, hey, so Naomi hasn't got an opponent for Money in the Bank now because all the girls are in this match. So
it could work.
I'm going to give you the title match.
I'd prefer not, though. It's the sort of match where I wouldn't mind Naomi at ringside. Not at ringside, sorry, but on commentary.
Right, okay. The other side of this is that the SmackDown roster is thin. So you've got your main event, you've got Jinder and Randy in one match. Then you've got all of your other top stars in one match. So you haven't got splinter matches to have off with that. You've now got all of your girls in one match, minus Naomi. And then you've got the Usos against New Day. You've got Usos and New Day. And so that's 4 matches.
Breezango against whoever their person is.
But I thought that was the Colognes, because that's what they said. They were sniffing cologne. And that's what led to their match. They're not on a mystery thing. They already found out who it was. It was the Colognes.
I didn't know they found... I thought it was something else.
Yeah.
Well, just chuck in Luke Harper and Eric Rowan. That will probably happen.
So I feel like that's... but you've got loads of guys like Ty, Aiden English, Luke Harper... So you got people to fill up the matches, but they're not in anything at the
Forgot
moment.
Ty Dillinger was on the main roster.
Yeah, God bless his heart.
Randy Orton came out to respond. He spoke for the first time since losing his WWE title.
Said that his grandfather would be very upset at him for losing the title.
I quite liked the promo. He dropped a few wrestling historical notes. He name-dropped Vern Gagne.
Yep.
And I thought Jinder, again, they're doing everything right with him. It's everything preceding it that I've got the problem with.
Do you know what as well? Their video package they had
with
for
the
Jinder
global
winning.
News coverage.
It made him look like a total star. Loved it. And I was reading as well, apparently, on Indian commentary, he is the babyface. And they're portraying him as the babyface. So in the country of India, he is their hero. He's not being portrayed as the heel. He's portrayed as the babyface who's not being accepted by those racist Americans. It's great. It's Bret Hart.
Yes.
Bret Hart's a heel in America, babyface in Canada. And if they could just get that right, if they could just get Jinder's promos so where he's not just standing there going like, you don't like me because I'm the colour of my skin, Maharaja, just saying that over and over again. If they could just tweak his character ever so slightly.
Say India's the best.
Yeah,
just make it about countries rather than
exactly.
race.
This just shows that India is a better country.
Yeah.
Like that would be so much better. And it kind of works because then when they go, I'm assuming they're going to do a tour of India soon because I think that's in the summer. When he goes over there, he's going to be a giant star for them.
Really interesting to see.
That'd be wonderful.
I saw a behind the scenes clip when he first walked in to the catering department. Just that, like the day after he won the belt, and he walks in and everyone's clapping him, and he looks so happy. And I thought, oh my god, he's a baby face. He should be a baby face to everyone right now.
Yeah. Well, apparently when he got backstage at Backlash, the first thing he did when he got through Gorilla was fall down crying. Because he was so happy and everyone was congratulating him for the match because he was elated to be given this opportunity. Yeah, and more power to him. I'm getting behind the Jinder train. Now that I know this whole thing about like India portraying him as the babyface, I think it could be something good here. Still a job I like, but
still the build was absolutely horrendous.
Rubbish. Made no sense.
And in the main event, Dolph Ziggler beat AJ Styles. I wonder if they beat Jinder Mahal in his hometown or in his home country, because AJ Styles, of course, is from Atlanta, Georgia, and this episode of SmackDown was in Atlanta, Georgia.
Yeah, I forgot about that. So when Dolph, bloody Dolph of all people, pinned AJ Styles, I was like, oh, that makes no sense whatsoever. Until I then remembered, oh, it's in AJ's hometown. Yeah, no, of course he did. Yeah, of course he did. Which also assumed that Randy's losing at Money in the Bank as well, because it's in St. Louis.
St. Louis, yeah, which I called St. Louis on the news. So we did go way over there. That wasn't the lean masterpiece that I was looking for. It wasn't Finn Balor's torso. That's what I wanted from this. But we got Baron Corbin's tummy. So what was better?
I really relate to Baron Corbin because we've got the same gut.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which was better for you, Raw or SmackDown?
I'm going SmackDown. I enjoyed the opening tag match. I also enjoyed the main event as well. Actually, I thought that both guys were very good. I didn't actually. I know I scoffed at Dolph a little bit, but I thought the match itself was very good. I enjoyed the New Day segment. I enjoyed the women's brawl, and I loved the Fashion Files segment. So thumbs up all round. I'm going SmackDown.
I thought Raw was a better show than a lot of people give it credit for this week. It was really that Alexa Bliss segment that dragged it down by quite some way. But everything on SmackDown was very enjoyable to great. Maybe nothing memorable, but a fantastic show, I thought. Really, really enjoyable 2 hours of wrestling. So I'm also gonna give it to SmackDown. But that's all we have time for this episode. So click the videos which have just appeared over Luke Owens' face to catch up with the latest episode of the WrestleTalk News or the latest episode of WrestleRamble. This has been Luke Owen. I'm Ollie Davis, and that was Rambling.